Okay, good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Finance Committee for the Town of Bethlehem Industrial Development Agency. The Finance Committee is required to meet at least twice a year. So this is one of those required meetings. We'll be meeting again as we complete the budget process and bring the recommendation to the board. And these meetings, like our regular meetings and all of our committee meetings, are open to the public as well as being recorded. So we invite people to come in person if you wish. The Finance Committee is a subcommittee of the organization, statutorily required, and has typically been chaired by a member, Dick Kahlo, who has just resigned. He was also our treasurer. So for this particular meeting, I am going to chair the meeting until such time as the board decides to fill that position. So the first order of business is the call to order and a determination of a quorum for the three-person committee. So I will begin the call to order and quorum. I'm Victoria Storrs. I'm the chair of the agency. I've been a member of the Finance Committee for 14 and a half years. So I have consistently added 2 and 2 to get 4.
Catherine Hedgeman, Executive Director and Agency Counsel.
Chris Welch, Board Member.
Brian Connor, staff to the IDA.
Ted DeBarbieri, Board Member, Finance Committee member since I joined.
So we have 3 members of the agency. 2 are officially on the Finance Committee, and Chris has served on it before. So we have 2 out of 3 of the Finance Committee seats are filled, and that presents a quorum for the purposes of the Finance Committee. So we do have a quorum, and we can not just review the items on the agenda, but if needed, we can take official action. The That's fine. Okay. The first order of business is to approve the minutes. And forgive me, we have minutes approval for August 14th, 2026, which should be
2025.
Yeah.
They haven't, finance hasn't met since then.
Well, I think we have.
Oh.
But we will. There's the agenda for today. Actually, we might not have.
Right.
I will refer to you, and the reason is that we had not just an on-time budget to present to the board, but an early budget to present to the board. And since we haven't met since then, those last minutes are to be approved at this morning's meeting. Are there any questions or comments on the meetings from August of 2025?
No.
All right. The only adjustment I have is that the minutes said that it was an August 14, 2026. That's just a typo. And therefore, I would move to adopt the minutes. I'll second that and vote. We're both in favor.
Yes.
So the minutes, the resolution approving the minutes is approved. And the next order of business is the review of the 2026 year-to-date financial report. Typically, this would have been done by our CFO or treasurer or some combination. With Dick's resignation, he's not available, and Al was not available, our CFO, either. But as the Finance Committee, I think we're capable of conducting that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you want to break from talking, just do it. I'm happy to
Well,
to jump in.
Why don't you take us through the year-to-date results.
Yeah, so we'll start with the statement of net assets. Is that we've got $1,816,000 in checking and savings. That's split over 4 laddered CD accounts, in addition to our agency account, I believe that's checking. We have an additional $1,550 in current assets. That's a prepaid expense, which brings our total current assets to just over $1,817,000. So that's our total assets. Our liabilities and equity liabilities are accrued expenses of $30,916. So our liabilities and our equity matches our total assets of just over $1,817,000. So that's our net assets. With respect to our statement of revenue and expenses, and this is all as of I forget if our year end is June 30th. Is that right? Or
No,
it's calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as of June 30th, our ordinary, so with respect to ordinary income and expense, our total income was just over $138,403 against total expenses of $148,243. So we have a net ordinary income of just under $10,000 in deficit and $9,830. In addition, so that's net ordinary. We have additional interest income of over $17,000, which brings our net income into the positive of $7,460 through June 30th.
Yeah, thank you. It's, I feel it's a good position to be in.
Yeah, agreed.
And let's take a look at the
budget to actual.
Yes, especially as we're starting to open the budget discussion. Sometimes we get this right and sometimes we don't. How are we doing?
Right. Yeah, in terms of, so with respect to total income, we have a slight variance. Okay, so we had budgeted just under 150,000 for income. We're at just over 138,000.
Yeah.
So a slight variance of around $7,000 in projected income. Our expenses, we had budgeted 162,000 plus for total expenses, and our year to date is under that by 14,000. So our total expense, our annual budget for total expenses is $325,495, and we are looking at our net ordinary. And I guess the difference between the net ordinary and the income and the total income is that interest income coming in. So we have a slight, about $5,000 under where we had budgeted with respect to interest income, presumably to slightly declining rates, perhaps. So our net income was budgeted at $9,518, and we are year to date we're at $7,460. So we're slightly under what we had projected us to be at, but not really significantly so.
Yeah, thank you. There's some details of things that I want to look at, but before we leave the budget versus actual, Ted, you had asked earlier about the MIG
Yeah.
So business and economic development, you can see here, we budgeted 153,810. And that's a fairly broad category, but for the most part, this is where the anticipation of engaging another consultant came into the 2026 budget. So we're a little bit down on that one, but we've spent under 50 out of a budget of 153.
Yeah, presumably there may be the MIG contract could go into 2027,
Almost
especially
certainly.
looking at the proposal. They have some deliverables at that point, too.
Yeah, we had asked, we
Yeah.
want things wrapped up by the end of the year. We recognize it's a good goal.
Are we closed out with CPL, or do we have any outstanding invoices there?
We should be.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's,
Was that paid from this line also?
yes.
Yeah, great.
Yes. So the next, and I don't know how much time you've had to look at this. We actually have this year for the first time in Finance Committee, a P&L from QuickBooks. This committee had recommended and the board agreed to implement. Last year, our CFO had always been using QuickBooks, but he was using the desktop version, which not only was being eliminated, but it prevented other members with user IDs from actually going in and taking a look. And so by moving to the online QuickBooks, we've given ourselves a better tool. If you're just a user, you can see almost nothing, but Al said that he fixed that for me as chair. So there's at least one other person who's an admin. And I mention that because when you dig in a little bit deeper into the budget versus actuals in the P&L report, this is some of those answers. And I did go in yesterday and look at everything that had been paid to CPL. And that's a agenda item. So the next item here is a discussion of significant budget variances, which you probably asked yourself the same question. And Chris, if you'd had a chance to look as well. The audit, these aren't necessarily big numbers, but I flagged a couple of these items, the professional services audit, the New York State EDC membership, the Bethlehem Chamber membership, the business and economic development services, and the marketing and promotion as having variances. For the most part, this isn't an overspending issue. This was not having enough information when we adopted the budget. And so one of my goals for this year is that before we say that, we don't guess what the audit's going to cost. It cost, $5,000. Had we known that, we would have budgeted that. And the New York State EDC membership, we budgeted $500, and it was over 1,000. And they did significantly increase their membership fees. The Bethlehem Chamber membership had also increased their fees significantly.
That's like a different tier based on the number of employees.
Yeah.
So,
We have no employees.
right. So I'm not sure
Well, there's a
why they assessed it differently. But
Yeah, it's a minimum. It's because there's like a 1 to 3 employees, and I think that's what they gave us.
Mm-hmm. So for each of these, and thank you, Brianne. So the Bethlehem Chamber membership, what I would like is to have people go out and confirm this in the next month as the budget comes together, what they expect it to be for 2027.
Okay.
And I'm perfectly happy to talk to EDC. Brianne, if you have the ability. And then the audit, we can ping Georgette because she's the chair of the audit committee. Just have her reach out to and get a better number. Again, small dollars, but we can do a better job with our estimates. Traditionally, this budget had been done as the prior year's budget plus a 3% escalator without actually looking at the actual. That changed a couple of years ago. So we're still getting, because that's what government does. But as we are becoming more project oriented, then what we're actually spending is a far better guide.
Do you want to similarly look at where we expected to spend more and didn't yet?
Sure.
Just sort of for the flip side of that, because we were for marketing and promotion, we anticipated spending 15,000 and we only spent 5.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna make up for it.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I don't.
Well,
yeah,
that's exactly it.
I don't think we're gonna.
Yeah.
The money doesn't go away. It's just
Mhm.
it just doesn't. It's just
Right.
money not spent yet.
So what?
But like the CEG membership was under.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is.
Because they split it, we had to pay a chamber membership and a CEG.
Yeah.
And so there are 2 invoices and it's split instead of
Okay.
it being one, before it was one. But I think it's,
Yeah, he probably broke it out. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Broke out the,
because there were 2 invoices.
Dick negotiated that for the CEG investment, that number included the chamber membership with it for the Capital Region Chamber.
Oh,
So that Al probably broke it out, was my guess.
Mhm.
What is a portion to which one?
So I want to spend more time with the individual
sure.
line items.
Yeah.
But those are the questions. There's some line item details that I want to take a look at, especially with regard to the budget in Excel and the budget in QuickBooks. So we'll be taking a look at that.
Maybe as part of the, I don't know, we can outline the next steps before.
Yeah.
Like a timeline before this committee reviews again,
Mhm.
and then before March when it presents to the board. Because I assume we, and I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda items in front of me, but just I assume before we leave, we're gonna, thanks. Yeah, right. I guess when we get to 2027 budget development, we'll talk about the
Where did the
timeline.
civic survey go? We haven't paid for that yet, right?
No, we did pay SIPSRF, didn't we?
Yeah, they sent their invoice for the full year.
Oh, it could be right here under business and economic development,
services.
Yeah.
Okay,
line 61.
because that wasn't unbudgeted.
Is
What was that for?
this budget, was Al taking like the membership fees and prorating it across the months? Because
For what?
I mean, I'm looking at
Mhm.
like our CEG invoice for the year was 2,100, but
Mhm.
that's not what
Yeah.
is there in the
No.
P&L.
No, I just confirmed it's year-to-date budget. We're not looking at actual versus the entire budget. We're looking at the
So
budget versus actuals. It's just January to June, so it's the first 6 months.
He may
So,
book
he
the
may
prepaid,
prorating
he
it.
might be, yeah.
yeah. Actually, this is a question that comes up in my mind. QuickBooks is sort of awkward with accruals. And I don't know if we are required to use the accrual method.
No, you
Or-
can set it up as cash.
Well,
Oh,
but
yeah.
under regulation, law and regulations, are we required,
I think we are.
Oh.
And I think that's ABO related.
Mhm.
And then the EDC was Yeah, just,
Yeah.
these like don't seem to match to me.
This is why I reached out to Al yesterday, because I was going through some of these and I realized that as a user, I wasn't allowed to look at any checks or invoices.
Right.
And I've looked at the broad overview a couple of times before, but I think one of the goals is to enable more members to look in, especially the finance committee, to say, well, what were we billed for EDC?
I could be completely wrong, but I do not believe that Al books invoices and he handwrites checks. So I don't
Yeah.
believe he's cutting them from the system.
Right.
So
But
that's
if you
why-
handwrite a check, you enter the check number and who you paid.
Right, you
And
still
the
have to
amount.
create an entry for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we have to look at the checking account statements.
You
Yeah.
don't have to. That's what I'm telling you.
Mm.
So in other words, if the way QuickBooks Online works is the bank feed comes in.
Right.
So when
You
you
have to
get,
reconcile the bank.
It
feed
yes.
with- yeah.
So it will say check number, whatever, because it's coming in from the
Mhm.
bank. And you hit, you categorize that expense.
Mhm.
You don't write the check out of technically QuickBooks, right?
So I was looking, because I use QuickBooks, I don't have it connected to my bank. And so whenever I write a check at Stores Associates,
You have to do the
I
entry.
manually enter it. And what has been helpful for me managing my business is every check I have the date of when it went. I don't have a picture of it, but I know who it was addressed to, and whether I was writing it in as a response to an invoice.
Mhm.
And it may be that reconciling with the bank, this right now, this feels like a question that we want to get more information about. I'm confident that it's there, our records are there and they're accurate. But I'd like to take the next step toward transparency so that we can see, especially when there's a difference, we can start to understand, well, where did that come from? Have we not been billed? So I think, have we beaten that sufficiently? There's the supporting documentation, the page Bethlehem IDA 2025 budget worksheet. This is what we will be doing over the next several weeks to determine what the actual budget for 2027 is going to be. These numbers are presented in detail for the Finance Committee. We present the numbers in detail to the board. They go into a couple of places. They go into QuickBooks, so we'll make sure that now that we can see QuickBooks, we all understand how they're translating. The budget also has to be submitted to the Paris reporting system. So the actual budget workbook which I sent you has sort of a linking system to do that. What we've typically done is taken sort of a hybrid approach between the 3% cost escalation and what we think. And so, what you see here from the 2025 budget is we put together 2026, and then we estimated 2027 and 2028. We're required to do, I think, 4 years. The fourth year isn't presented here just because of the size of the paper. So the budget process is we take a look at general, cost inflation, and also what we've been doing for the past couple of years is asking for specific, budgets. What
From
But-
the committee chairs.
from the committee chairs? Thank you.
Great. Have we done that yet? I knew,
Informally,
informally.
Informally we
I know
have.
you sent me a note on that.
The only committee that has a budget item connected to it is marketing.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
normally Chris will say, here's what I think the number should be and what we want to spend it on.
Right.
I think we have the categories, it's just we need to put more money in there.
Mhm.
Because this board made a decision a couple years ago to
Right.
allocate
Yeah.
funds for economic development.
Yep.
Right, which is what
Well, and it's deal flow, right? We need
deal
deal
flow.
flow.
Yeah.
So it's a way for us to rebuild that revenue over time.
Okay. So what now? What do you wanna,
I also will reach out to Georgette, about the audit, but I'll also ask, is there anything else that you think the audit committee might need? And the same to Victor. We don't think of governance as having expenses, but I think it's appropriate to ask.
Sure. Things like Bell's board or whatever other come through, other processes.
Yep, and for the finance, one moment, for the finance committee, there is a component to Civic Serve where when we have the information ready, we'll have the opportunity, we will be uploading pilot information. And so the way that we conceptually split that is, well, that's really a finance committee function. So the finance committee budget would cover part of the portion of Civic Serve that's specifically finance related. And we would also think of, the QuickBooks subscription as finance. Is there anything else that you think the finance committee could bring in under our umbrella so that we're tying the activities to the committees that are managing them?
Civic Serve is the project management tool where we're seeing what the timing is for the pilots.
Right,
Is-
right. So it'll have a dashboard
Yeah,
to
cool.
track the pilots.
Did
And it can also track the other items that we want to track, like the job creation component and things like that.
Do we figure out how we want to break up that Civic Serve? What percentages we want to check where? Because I know we've been talking about that.
Now, I think that the proposal that they sent in the contract,
Let me look at it.
the pilot is its own module. So we have that breakdown, but that's a good
Yeah.
question.
And then obviously the market study's got to go under marketing, we think, but all of it.
Mhm.
Which the
The market study
that we just approved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some of that is in some of that we have some budget for this year. But yeah, so you're talking about 2027.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Civic Serve has the CRM feature too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
That's basically what I'm building right now.
Okay.
And I say, the umbrellas, we are required under government accounting principles to have very specific line items in organization, and we follow that. But when we use the budget as a management tool,
Mm.
I think it's just much easier to say that's a marketing function.
The breakdown.
Yeah.
No problem. But I'm looking for it.
The next piece of supporting documentation is largely outdated because it is still showing the years of fees from some projects that never got off the ground and some that ended their payments years ago. So on my agenda is at some point to get this cleaned up so that it can actually print and be visible, and we have, yeah, and that we actually have a list of the active projects, which is what we get asked about. So, if something closed in, 2011, I'm okay not having all of those zeros. So that's something else to work on from the supporting documentation. So in terms of getting information, item 3, getting information for the budget we talked about, I'll reach out to try to get information from the committee chairs.
we want to set a deadline for ourselves. I mean, I guess that's in, I know that's in the next item.
Yeah, you're looking at the marketing budget.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I'm
Give
trying
an
to,
idea.
I'm trying
I'm trying
to,
to think about ways that can
Yep.
be useful.
Mhm.
what the
Yeah.
current solid expenses are,
I think that
and
what we're
then
gonna
what we
do
need to
is,
add.
um, when we determine the
I
next
think
meeting,
this is
Yeah,
a good
and
start,
we can
and
compare
I
our
think we're gonna
calendars,
run
and that
into something
becomes,
that's gonna be another
say, like
10
10
grand.
days before
is my
that.
guess.
Great.
That's kind of, I mean, unless you, because we ran into the civic serve and,
And civic serve is annual now, so.
Mhm.
right.
And the incentives module is 30% of the total invoice for civic service.
So 70% to marketing and 30%. Okay. So what I'm showing for marketing is the market study itself is about 100,000.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The website, based upon and the branding that we put out, based upon just quickly looking at them, we're probably somewhere around 35K. That could be a little high depending upon who we really want to who we
Mhm.
choose, but I think you need at least that. So that's probably a
Mhm.
decent guideline. And then for IDA promotion to the general public,
Mhm.
we have New Ward, which does the social media, post stuff on the website. I think that kind of falls under that.
Is that all currently under there in the budget?
I'm not sure, but I think it should be.
Under marketing.
And, then I think the market study, as I mentioned, is 100 for the contract price. But if there's things we want to print or, around the public meeting piece of it,
Yep.
there's expenses. So I think we probably need to add at least 10,000 to that number
Mhm.
just to cover ourselves for whatever that, sometimes when you do the public, you need a poster or you need, visual or whatever that is.
Or we want to bring them out for another public
Right.
meeting, and that'll be
Right.
$6,000 or
Right.
something. Yeah.
And that's not baked into what Mick will provide already.
No, they have deliverables
Some.
that'll be marketing materials,
Yeah.
but
We just may have to
not,
disseminate.
not, our own hard costs for assembling people or creating a visual or anything like that.
Or if something comes up where we say we want you to focus more on this piece or something,
Mhm.
change the
Additional
scope.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think whatever they produce, we'll want to look at, and there's probably a part 2, a part 3, but that is another, procurement event.
Right.
And, but that comes back to the board anyway. And so you could always say, we are gonna by motion spend 30,000 on this or whatever the case may be. I think though we should get it as close as we can. So, on the market study line, I'd put really 110,000 maybe versus 100.
But some of that's going to be covered by 2026 funds that we budgeted but we weren't spent.
I believe so.
Yeah.
If they invoice us. I guess,
Right.
Yeah. Just
Right.
if
The
they
issue
invoice us
is
this year.
now the marketing budget component of our current budget
Yeah.
is like
So let's
there's
just put
money
in what
there,
we-
but
let's just put in
but
what
I
we
think
need.
it's going to change, and we'll probably have to go to the board, especially after you talk about the expense for the, and then clarify the current budget.
Yes.
And then this would be for next year. But yeah, that 100, I'd have to look at the invoicing sequence that they're going to do. But you're right, there would be some in 25 and some in 26 and some in 27. So yeah,
I think it's fine to communicate as a communication with the board. Say this is what we expect it to cost. Some may be paid across years. I think people will understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we want to have the authorization. We want you to approve. It's sort of an easier messaging thing.
And we could talk about adopting a revised budget for 2026
Probably should.
because of those changes. So what I would ask is, so we've temporarily skipped over the CPL in terms of following the agenda. We started talking about the 2027 budget development.
Sorry.
No, I think that's good. The CPL will be briefer and this flows.
Mhm.
So we started talking about, the preliminary budget request from the committee chairs. What I would ask is that the marketing committee actually send over, whatever documentation, so that when it goes in, we have those numbers. And to the extent you can, thinking about a percent to completion basis on and I think Meg provides that. So just an estimate of what might come up in 2026 and what would then be in 2027.
Mhm.
So 50% each or whatever makes sense. I think it'd be a good guideline for putting that together because it's a big item. The web development, similarly, I don't know if it fits as neatly because I'm not as familiar with that kind of service. And for the other committees, the sums tend to come at much more specific times. So yeah, marketing does have a little bit more thinking to do than just what they might spend. But so we don't have all of that information, but we have a lot of it.
It sounds like we know generally Market Study 110, 35 for the branding,
Mhm.
and New World is 10-ish.
New Ward
New World.
currently is at 12,000 annually. It's $1,000 a month.
Okay.
So I was thinking that's just part of the promotion budget.
Yeah.
I was thinking of adding another 10, so it would be 22
Yep.
total.
So like 167-ish for marketing promotion.
Yeah.
Well, not done yet.
Not that,
So
okay.
70% is civic serve, whatever that is.
Okay.
We probably should put a swag budget in there, maybe, $1,000 or something.
Can we do that? Can we provide the swag?
Yeah, we can do that. It's a marketing expense and,
Mhm.
The civic serve annual fee is
Rounding error.
16,000.
I'm sorry, what?
16,000 is the civic serve annual fee.
So actually, here's a question. Does Civic Serve really fall just under marketing?
Well, no, that's what we said. 30% would be
30%
under
to
finance
finance.
for the pilot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't want to make this more complicated, but it's also very much a general expense for the agency to run well. But you're comfortable putting it under marketing. I'm not going to argue with
I
the
don't have a
experts.
problem with it being under marketing if you
Yeah.
guys are amenable to it. But
I don't think it matters much.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep it under marketing because you guys are the ones who are managing it.
We have a conference fees thing, and that's really for the registrations, travel, whatever. But time to time, we do sponsor,
Mhm.
we're a sponsor for things.
Mhm.
And I would have liked to have seen us sponsor, I forget what it was, some rail trail event.
Mhm.
So, IDA
Mhm,
certainly can do that. I've seen, the
Yeah.
IDAs, we obviously would sponsor the EDC conference here and there.
Mhm.
So, I think to the extent that even with the Chamber of Commerce and their legislative event,
Mhm.
like we should have, I'm not saying a lot of money, but we
Mhm.
should be able to support those things
Mhm.
only if it buys us, to the extent that it'll buy us a logo placement and show
Mhm.
that we're part of all of this.
Yeah.
So that's what I, was thinking with that. So, normally it runs a couple $1,000s. So I probably would put 5,000 in there, but it's probably less than that depending. Because we only really do the Albany EDC conference when we sponsor it
never done
usually.
one down at the Osage or anything. Have
We did
Yeah, that
one
one,
year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those would be
Sure.
probably be the two that, but there is going to be a leadership and policy one in the fall, and that's kind of what I was thinking about
Yeah.
in that.
That's one of my plans.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much for promoting our IDA at that conference as it is to just supporting the overall discussion, and there's other value to it than that. So there's a lot of IDAs I think that give nothing, right? But I feel that it's important to support the conferences in that way. So probably 5. I don't know.
It might be more than that. So
Actually, Otasaga was 3,000 itself.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was the yeah.
Yeah, you can take out ads, you can be a sponsor.
What, 75, 10?
Oh, it's in.
But I think what would be helpful is like between now and the next
Yeah,
meeting,
get an
I mean,
actual-
we can have a plug number, I'd say, like 10 for now, but have some general plan of these are the people we want to be in front of. This is where we want it to be. And then we can, if needed, refine that number.
Okay.
Yeah, the sponsorship information for the EDC Leadership Summit just came out, I think, last week. Stores Associates is on the regular first dibs list, so my company already made it its commitment. But the IDA can think about, because I think it's going to be a good summit. I
Yes.
think that it's going to be,
I have it on
Thoughtful.
the calendar as of now. So
Yeah. I think it's going to be.
it's in White Plains. It's a 2-day.
When?
Yeah, September. It's going to be a rough spot, I think, for you.
Yeah.
But 29th and 30th.
I haven't registered. Registration isn't open yet, so I don't know what the hotel costs are going to be. And they don't usually feed you dinner. Like last year, Brianna and I went.
Mhm.
We had a very nice meal at the casino, though. I enjoyed that.
I did.
The IDA didn't pay for that because I was a sponsor there.
The
Are we gonna? Well, you and I can talk, but if we're gonna try and do a rehash of the board's event,
here's what, and then I don't want to get too off
I know.
topic, but Brianna and I think, discussed somebody. I discussed with somebody that the market study might
Will
present a
inform
really
that.
good, maybe it
Yeah,
was you, will be a good opportunity to bring the boards together, or even if it's just like a communication to them, we're doing this, that might be a better way to get people, oh, okay.
It's like
And
a
then if we
market study
wanted to do
stakeholders
something,
event as opposed to like
Yeah.
a boards event.
yeah,
So,
to pull people in, I think we should do that. So that'll be helpful for that and toward that end.
Would you want to do that while the market study is underway or present them the final? I mean, you don't need to answer that, but I think
No,
that's a question.
definitely why it's underway.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think once we meet with MIG, I think we make a big announcement.
Okay.
That might be press conference worthy too. So.
Yeah, and that would give us some information because if it's in process, it would go into a revised 2026 budget. Not massive dollars.
Yeah,
We're trying
if
to
we
be
do it this
clear.
fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have the committees too, like bike and ped committee. Those are like the people who show up and like volunteer for stuff for leadership in the town. Would like, those are the people who have opinions, I assume, who would want to weigh in. And not all of them are going to be negative. Some might be, but not all of them are going to be.
The proposal and the RFP are much more targeted for public participation. It's not gonna be wide open like that. So, you know, we can always take written comments too, so.
Yeah, and we can make announcements. One thought, you know, the footnote here is that because of the zoning and the comp plan and everything else, it's a known thing in economic development studies, like the market study. You just get resident fatigue.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so one of the things that we liked about MIG was that they are aware that that's an issue and to try to keep it focused.
Yeah, no, I think they're a great group.
Good.
I like them better, than EDC, NYSE, EDC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, where are we? So I think we've hit preliminary discussion. So that we're not here for a long time, talk about the timeline for the preparation, and then we do have two other items. The timeline for preparation and recommendation to the board is really when the finance committee would next meet. There'll be the conversation with MIG in August. You've got great information from marketing right now. I'm asking you to just put that in writing a little bit.
Well, you know, if you don't pin down the marketing chair, you might not.
Yeah. So your academic calendar.
Gala's here.
I'll take it.
We're starting the budget process earlier than ever before, which I'm really
Yes,
happy
great.
about.
Well, it's bigger than it used to be, right? And it's more
Yep.
diverse than it used to be, and it really needs a hard look, especially with the marketing component. I think we have to upload the budget, what I call the Paris budget. It's very different than than line items, but by November 1st. So
Yeah.
usually,
For 2027?
yeah, and
Yeah.
you have to
Oh,
have
wow, okay.
you have to have the next
Yeah.
3 years.
Mhm.
And
Projected.
what Al did, and it's most authorities do, is we just sort of put a COLA in there,
Yeah.
like 3%,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
and it's there, but the board has to approve for next
Yep.
year. So that's usually on the October agenda at the latest. So
Yeah.
this is the timeline that I'm backing into. So
And then we approved in March the actual budget.
Nope.
No.
What-
the budget
Okay.
gets approved in October.
In October, and then we just have an annual
Yeah,
meeting.
it's
Yeah.
March meeting.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you're thinking of is that we approved the audit in March.
We approved the audit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So the regular meeting for October is October 14. The regular meeting for September is early. It's September 9.
Yeah.
Great.
So to meet that, finance should next convene.
It'd have to be August, I would think. I mean, we could meet, oh no, I'm not here that week.
The week of August 24th.
Yeah.
When does your academic start up?
It's that week. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I don't know.
You're like, great.
Wednesday the 26th.
Wednesday the 26th.
Is Wednesday better for folks, or not specific? Like Wednesday, Thursday,
Mhm.
Friday are better.
The 27th would be better for me,
Okay.
but I could do the 26th if that's what works for people.
I'm good for both of them, so let's target the 27th, the Thursday. You have availability that day?
Yeah.
What time?
Could we do 9?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
with
sure.
mine.
The room's available.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So the messages to the other committee chairs, to Victor and Georgette, would be, can get it to us by mid-August, which I don't think is a heavy lift for their committees. And you guys are 90% of the way there.
Yes.
And we will attend the meeting with MIG, MIG.
I don't know what they prefer.
Russian aircraft.
I forget.
That's kind of where yes. MIG.
KUI.
Okay.
I'm not taking it the rest of the way. I just want to.
Definitely not.
Can't do that.
Okay, so we've got our budget prep timeline. We have 2 items, an executive session and other business. So in terms of meeting flow,
Why don't we do the other business?
yeah, that's the AV equipment.
Great. Let me pull up that email. So I got two quotes. Hold on, I had it up and then I did something else. Sometimes.
Now, while you're looking, I think, Kate, could you just give the Finance Committee an overview of why this is important?
Sure. So the, one of the things that we wanted to do, and we have an interest in it, as well, is upgrade the conference room technology facilities here so that when we have presentations, either from developers on projects or other economic development initiatives that the board is talking about, that we have the ability to have a projector, have a screen, have the technology necessary to conduct those meetings in a much better visual way. And so the board asked Brianne if she would and Chris to work on pulling together an estimate for the purchase of equipment. And of course, anyone who uses the room, so there's a public benefit to it, including any town business, would certainly have the equipment to use as well.
So I met with 2 different companies. One is a AV company who did the main town hall auditorium, since we've worked with them before. Both companies recommended basically very similar equipment. The one is a little higher end equipment, kind of like over outfitting the room, and one is meeting sort of the exact size of the room. And so the EOS Technologies, their quote was $5,300 and AV Corp was $9,200. And again, the main difference is there's a slightly larger TV in the bigger quote. The sound bar is for a room larger than this, and it includes 1 year of customer care. The EOS Technologies quote still has a TV larger than what we would roll in on the cart. The sound bar meets the specifications of the room almost exactly, and they don't have a built-in like customer care. We could ask them to add that if we want that, but we do have our own IT people here as well who would be familiar with the equipment. The cost to the town is that they do have to upgrade the electrical outlet and put it in the correct place for the installation. So I've already talked with the building, the facilities folks, and they have in-house capability to do that. So we're good there.
Is there a camera involved in this?
Yes,
Okay.
so it's a TV on this wall mounted flat screen, and it has a bar, and the bar has camera and sound built into it that connects to the TV. And then there's a puck. It's like it's kind of about this big, and it has a cord, and that plugs into whoever's laptop wants to connect to the system. So it's this like dongle puck thing, and we imagine that would be the item that's checked out from either IT or the front desk for anyone who wants to utilize the equipment, that they have to check that out and check it back in. So that's how people get permission to use the equipment, and we know who's using it when, and can kind of control the appropriate use of the equipment.
But then the owl would not be necessary anymore at that point, or would you?
So I asked them about that. So the sound bar creates a view of the room,
Yep.
kind of like this. So if it's like we're in the half of the room and we're fairly like close to the sound bar, it's gonna pick us all up individually. They said that you can also plug in the owl and it will default to that if you want to like have a more directional, like face by face sort of, conversational meeting, but that the sound bar should be adequate for a U-shaped meeting facing the sound bar to pick everybody up. But it is the room view. It doesn't switch to
But
an individual view.
There's no record feature, is there?
No,
That's
whatever.
where you have to use Zoom.
Right. You have to use Zoom or Teams or whatever software is hosting the meeting.
Yeah, my only concern would be is that make sure it picks up as well as because it's
You guys are transcribing.
we have to have the video file online and all of that. So we probably would test it, before we switched over, but you can run Zoom through there and all of that. So it's really just about the microphone and does it pick up correctly? So that the idea would be if that works best to switch to that, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. Sometimes we only get half this room. So depending on where the screen is located, that would be a priority for us to have if it's split.
Right. So we sort of consider this is 101A and that's 101B, and this is kind of the primary side. So this is the side that it would be installed on, which means we'd have to sort of reorient ourselves and get used to facing this way instead of, but
yeah. And that might make it important that we have both A and B for our meetings.
Yes.
Right.
Also having it on this wall keeps the screen private to the meeting.
Yeah.
As opposed to this wall where you can view it from the hallway.
Oh.
Yeah. Because this door doesn't have a window.
I didn't even think of that.
Which when you're doing financials or talking about certain things, that's useful to have that.
You put a blind on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's most of our things are public, but
Right. This
it's context is important.
Yes.
Actually, if you're watching the whole meeting, you know what we're talking about.
Right.
So, is there a recommendation between the two different systems? The price points are different enough. I'd like a recommendation on which one we should take to the board.
My recommendation is to go with the EOS Technologies. They are the lower price point, but they're also very flexible if we want to upgrade the TV to the larger size. They're just really flexible in their responsiveness. So
And they're the ones that already have worked here.
they're not. They're actually the other.
Any? Kate, Chris?
It's fine by me.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Well, what I think the process would be, let's get that into the budget. Maybe marketing, maybe governance. I don't know, but let's make sure that we've got that and it gets into a revised 2026 budget, and then any expenses that we would incur for renewal.
That would be a great thing to put under governance. Actually, I think. No,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, right.
It's
functional
public
equipment.
meetings is
Yeah,
what
right.
it
We
is.
need
Yep.
it.
I'll talk to Victor about
We can
that.
put the plaque that goes next to it in the marketing.
See, I said we have to have a plaque.
Okay.
I thought that was a great idea.
Thank you. Well, we haven't been in a position to, the OWL is a very cost-effective system. We haven't previously been in a position to upgrade a facility for the town.
It's extraordinarily fun to lug everywhere too.
It should have wings. So the next step would be, what does the board need to do to make this happen?
So I guess, are we going to, technically governance doesn't have a budget, right?
But they will.
Right. So I want it to happen sooner than later. Is there a line item we can ask Al to use, or we could reallocate somewhere for the current budget where to get it from? Let me see.
Honestly, it's difficult to tell with the information that he's provided to us so far.
Okay.
Um,
So what I could do is just maybe I can talk to him and just say, here's what we want to purchase, where, how are we going to book this and where, and he should be able to tell us. Do they want, are they like, we do the work and then we invoice you, or do they need something for that?
I think it's a 50 upfront.
Yeah, they have a half up front.
Does this need to go by the full board or?
No, because
Okay.
Victoria has authority up to
Perfect.
10 grand or something like that.
Yeah,
And,
up to 10 grand.
Yeah.
I asked EOS for an updated proposal that included the dongle, the wireless dongle. So I just forwarded that to you, and the cost on the full updated proposal is $6,800. So
Okay.
it's still less than the
Yeah.
9,000 one.
We don't have to deal with something coming up right the floor.
Right, there's no wires hanging down or
Yeah, no, that-
connectors, that you don't,
The only thing I would say, in that we'll have to see how it goes. We might need an internet booster or something in here because John, your predecessor and I, we were doing the CPL, like that
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing that started. And Rob actually, I think, was homesick or something, and he was on, but like we kept losing internet. So, I would just
It
say,
is already in this room. Yeah.
every now and then too, like this will time out because of some sort of break in the, so, just something to consider.
Yep.
But,
This is my chauffeur.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Right.
how you
good. All right,
We're just finishing up.
Well, we do have the executive session, which really, if you can stay, great, but if not, then
You're okay with me staying for a minute? Okay.
he's gonna have to go out though, for the executive.
We don't want you in here.
So, the 2026 budget had $15,000 under other operating expenses. The year to date, it's under contractual expenses, item 6460.6 is negative expenditure, which I find interesting. So I think that the EOS system, in terms of the budget, goes into that line item, and
Which
then
is
under it's going back to the budget versus actuals paragraph. I'm sorry, it's under business and economic development. It's 6460.6 is.
Okay, I
Right,
just
that
want to
is.
make sure when I
That's
touch that.
7,500.
Other
Yeah.
operators, yeah.
Yeah, we could create a line item in the 2027 budget for technology.
Okay. So what I'll need to do probably is send Al an email, copy you, Brianne, and then you let us know how much you need up front, and we can have them cut a check or
Yep.
whatever.
Okay.
Or we can just use the credit card too, depending upon.
Yeah.
That might make our
Make
life
it easier.
Do we get frequent flyer miles in the event we go to a national conference?
There we go.
Could happen.
Does the agency have a credit card?
I do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We have a credit card policy, we've got all that.
You can have fun on governance. Listening in on governance, yes. We didn't used to, but this is one of the things that we've done in the past 5 years.
Credit card?
The policy, actually having a policy for it, yes.
Having a policy.
Yes. Okay, so that's item 7. Before we adjourn officially, we do have the executive session. Is there anything else for the public session this morning? Okay, then I would propose a motion to enter into executive session
To discuss personnel.
to discuss personnel.
So moved.
Okay, both in favor. We are entering into executive session at
10:53.
10:53. Correct time zone, thank you.
And I can leave right out of executive session because